You gonna twirl? Twirl. 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 You do tricks for the people. Yeah? There you go. Good morning, and it's not quite 7 a.m. yet, but it is the last day of Summerween, and I want to read as much of this book as possible before I go to the signing tonight, and so I am awake, and I need to get going, and that is the plan. I read the first chapter of this last night before bed, but I started falling asleep, so I had to stop. So that is the plan this morning, to read as much of this as possible, then maybe go for a run, and then drop my daughter off at her activity today. She has like 3 trips this week that she's going to say. She's going to Quasi, which is an amusement park in Connecticut. It's like a little small mom and pop one, but they have like all these water stuff too. So she'll have fun with that today, and then come back, shower, and read some more of this. My husband's working from home today, so I don't know how much I will be vlogging on this last day, but that is the plan. I am at the lake. I'm gonna run around it. It's about 4 miles. It's pretty hot though, so it might take me a while. I'm gonna grab my water and just hope for the best. My tummy's also been a bit off today, so hopefully I can make it around the lake. I decided to run here because there are bathrooms, so at least I have access to a bathroom if the need arises. Anyways, I got about 70 pages into Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep before I had to drop my daughter off at her activity, and I'm liking that so far. It's a weird one, but in a good way so far, at least. We have one perspective that is in sort of second person, which is the person that Julia, our second perspective, is going to be controlling via this whatever technology that is being explained in the book. And then there's, I think her name is Julia, and Julia is a recent college graduate, hasn't really found a good job yet. Dad died of a heart attack when she was in high school suddenly, and parents are divorced. She lives with her uncle, who she calls Uncle Happy, and her mother works for a big tech company, like one of those billionaire tech companies, you know, and suddenly contacts her and tells her that she will pay her $5,000 just to come to a interview that she has, because they need someone who they could get quickly, who they can count on to keep a secret, who has her specific skill set, because I guess she's a gamer, almost professional gamer. She never quite got to that level, but she got close. And so her mother, who she doesn't have the best relationship with, wants her to come in for this interview, and since she needs the money and is curious, she goes to the interview and is told that they have a man that used to work in the mailroom that had a catastrophic stroke and is brain dead. I guess he volunteered or signed something that says that he volunteers his body to science. They implanted technology in his brain so that she can control his body, and she needs to move him to the East Coast from the West Coast to a right to life or right to death state so that he can be euthanized and his last requests will be carried out. That's so really weird, right? The you is pretty obviously the man that she will be controlling, and he seems to be definitely more aware than what they are telling her, and so that is just a nightmare hellscape. I can't imagine being inside your body, not being able to move, but being able to think and have some mental capacities, and that alone is horrifying, but then having someone controlling your body is even more horrifying. So he's basically in a coma and is aware, it seems. But then there's also weird things going on. There's something in the corner that we don't know what it is. Maybe it's one of the people. Maybe it's something else. It's going to be a weird one to explain and to talk about. I have some great quotes that I highlighted, but I am not home, so I will have to tell you about those later. And then I am also, I think, 60% of the way into The Devil in Silver. I think I have about 2 hours left in the audiobook on my current speed, and I'm still liking that one. It's reminding me of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest somewhat, because they are in a mental hospital, but they are involuntarily hospitalized, whereas almost everyone in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is voluntary hospitalized, other than our main character. In this one, they're all involuntary hospitalized. At one point, Dory says they're talking about the buffaloes and how they were hunted to extinction, and that sometimes they were driven off cliffs as an easy way to kill them and get all their part for the monetary aspect of them. She talks about how they are the buffaloes and this hospital is the cliff, and they're just being driven over the cliff, put somewhere so that people don't have to deal with them. But our main character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he doesn't really feel like a lot of these people should be there for as long as they are there. He thinks they should stop taking their meds. Like, he raises up a ruckus, throws everything kind of into a whirlwind in the hospital. He doesn't feel like he needs to be there. Of course, there are consequences to that. As far as the buffalo monster goes, we are getting answers there a little bit. And I will say this also reminds me of the reformatory because of the institutionalized aspect, where these people are institutionalized and there are bad things going on. Nothing as horrific as that so far, but the horror is within the system and hospitals itself. And there was a quote that Dory said. She's an old woman that's been there forever who's in the hospital, and she said, "The systems are broken, but the systems work great when they're covering their own ass. They work perfectly." So I thought that was a good quote. Anyway, I'm going to go run, and I'm going to listen to The Devil in Silver, and I will see you later.
I really know just what you want. With you, I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted. You've been gifted with the evil voodoo.
I finished Victor LaValle's The Devil in Silver on my run, and a little bit after that. This is very well written. Like I said, very good character work. I will say, I feel like it's a little bit long. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. It's definitely worth your while for sure. And Victor LaValle is a fantastic writer. And there are some other things that happened in here that I wanted to say, but I used voice to text to write notes on my run. So let's see if I can decipher them. One of the patients, they were talking about the system and how it's broken, and one of them says the system is working and it hates us. I liked that. Juries don't want to believe the world works this way because it's never worked this way for them. Lots of good stuff in here. I've already talked about it quite a bit, so I won't say too much more, but it's definitely more of a horror about real life than it is horror about like a paranormal or extra things going on. Very similar to the reformatory, but not quite as severe as that. Oh, and I liked how it humanized most of the people that actually worked in there too. Talked about how they're underfunded and that some of the people actually try to make things better, but eventually they do get tired and end up leaving. And just the uphill battle everyone who is trying to make a difference faces, and just the realities of mental healthcare in this country and in all countries really, because it's not really much better anywhere. Anyways, this was really good. I'm gonna give it 4 stars, and I'm gonna continue reading Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep now until I have to leave. I am about halfway through Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep, 131 pages in, and I don't know what I think about this yet. I don't dislike it. I like it. I'm not sure I love it, but there's still half of the book to go, and we don't really know what's going on. It's a real weird one. We're just gonna call him Bernie, the guy that had the stroke, because that's what they call him in here. It's a play off Weekend at Bernie's, which if you've never watched, a movie about these two kids that go to someone's vacation house and he's dead, but they want to like still throw a party or something. They like move his body around to make him look like he's still alive. I don't know. It was an interesting time to be alive. Anyways, so Bernie is being puppeted around, but he is not completely not there. And what he is experiencing is not, like, he doesn't see the world around him, really. He is experiencing something else. And he's very confused about what he's experiencing as well. Like, he has memories, but they are pretty slippery. Visually, even though his eyes are open, you know, he's not seeing the world around him. He is seeing something that's in his own brain. So we're being described things that he is seeing, and it doesn't match up with what is really happening. Obviously, there are hints and things that make it seem like, yes, you're with him in the present, but he is experiencing things differently. So you're experiencing things through his eyes. So it's kind of difficult to explain. There are things that he's experiencing that aren't like in reality. They're in his own mind, right? And then, so as we're making our way to his destination, and also Julia is just puppeting him, and I'm finding her excerpts kind of boring at this point. I mean, I wouldn't say they're boring, but like it's just kind of plot, like her moving him from one place to another, and maybe having some inklings of ethical distress. For the most part, it's just her getting him from one place to another and the logistics of that. In the chapter I just read, she does ask, like, why are we doing this? Like, why not just put him in a wheelchair? And they're like, well, if we put him in a wheelchair, what would be the point of all this? And she basically says, like, yeah, what is the point of all this? And the other person says, well, isn't that obvious? And for me, I'm like, no, it's not obvious. Like, why would you do this? Is it just because you can? Just because you want to see if you can get this technology to work? I feel like that is the point, right? Like, why would you do this? Because we want to see how far we can go. We want to see what we can do. Supposedly, they're transferring to a state so that he can be euthanized, as was his wishes. However, they're talking about investors and other things, and Julia's definitely in the dark about what's going on. There's definitely something else that's going on, it seems. And there's been a few quotes and things that I wanted to talk to you about. It's fairly towards the beginning. Julia says, part of her wants to joke about the number of lives she has in this video game, and she's talking about puppeting Bernie. But most of her is afraid to open her mouth, as she might start screaming, because with the great and cruel sum of humanity's knowledge at their fingertips, people decided to make this. It's also beyond fucked up, Julia says. So I like that quote. And then in Bernie's perspective, the miracle of language as it is applied to objects and thought, to your continued flummoxing existence, is still there. Still a seated cloud within, which means you are still you, even if you don't remember who that is. Words are your footholds and handholds to your humanity, to the world from which you are torn away, and you will follow them to your escape. You know, Bernie is saying, he's like, I'm still here. It's a flummoxing existence, but I'm still here in his mind, and he can't move his own body, and then it's being moved for him. So, like, that's terrifying and horrifying. I even wrote at one point, like, God, what a nightmare. And then the format editing of this is very strange during his parts as well. Let me find a good page to show you. I think I already showed you a little bit in, like, my B-roll, but like that. It's like, what is going on? But that's interesting, because he's experiencing things way different than the norm, right? Because his brain's been messed with, and he had a stroke, supposedly. He also thinks there's a liar and a truth teller inside you, and they both say that being forgotten wouldn't be the burden you imagine it to be. And it also says there are always people in the business of separating other people from all manner of things. And then in Julia's perspective, she says, Julia stares at that ludicrous man and glimpses the terrible truth that he and hundreds like him, including the great Janice Moore, that's her mother, cocooned within ivory tower boardrooms and glad handing in high-rise law offices, make daily greedy, myopic, purposeful, destructive, off-the-cuff decisions that affect their lives and economic well-being of millions of people who have zero say in the matter in any of the matters. She madly wonders what shark tooth tattoo would be best represent his fucking fascist ass. And she also says, Julia imagines a swarming, writhing army of AI-enhanced, remote-controlled rats wearing cataract glasses, because Bernie is wearing glasses. She swallows a laugh, not because the image is comic absurd, which it is, but because it is the tragic absurd of yet another human-made existential hell. So, Mr. Tremblay has things to say with this, obviously. And I will say it is pretentious. The horror movie was pretentious as well, so was Paul Bear's Club. But pretentious in a way I like. However, this one I can't decide yet if it's pretentious in a way I like yet. We'll have to wait and see. There's even this part where an aside, a brief interlude, they call it. Paul Tremblay says that he wanted to put more about what Julia's thinking about Bernie's socks and how he's dressed, etc., etc. But they cut it out. However, after careful consideration of its necessity, as well as, frankly, our wilted attention spans and dopamine-addled social media brains, it's not your fault, and it is your fault. Perhaps more of you should be admitting this. Brains that equate pacing as needing more explodey or stabby things happening. It was determined the extra time to be spent within the SUV didn't serve the story as well as this interlude does. Which is okay. I actually really like the non-plottiness of some books, sir. So it's interesting choices being made, and I don't know if they're purposeful or not. I'm sure they are. Jury's still out on this one. And I don't know if I'll be able to finish before I leave. Well, I definitely won't be able to finish before I leave. I did grab the audiobook so I can continue listening to it in the car, since it is a bit of a drive to get to where the book signing is. Hopefully I like this, because I'm going to have it signed. One thing I will say is that Paul Tremblay's books are an experience, even if you don't always like them. For me, they make my brain think. They tickle my brain in a specific way that I usually enjoy, whether it's fun, whether I find it to be fun or aggravating. With this one is up for debate.
Organically, but weirdly it started with the initial what if. Hit me when I was reading
All right, so I just got to meet Paul Tremblay. That was super fun, and he signed both of my books. I got Horror Movie signed and personalized, and I got Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep signed and personalized. Even stamped it with this Julia. I'm glad I went. It was a bit of a drive. It's a little over an hour. And I also got Crumble because I've never had it before, and neither have the kids, and we're just talking about it. So I decided to stop by and pick out some of that for us to taste test. And then I also went to Michael's and checked out the Halloween stuff. So it was a very good ending to Summerween. I am still reading Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep. I have 60 pages left. I will finish that and let you know. But I will say that after meeting Paul Tremblay, of course, I'm liking it even more. He talked a lot about it. He was part of the OpenAI case, Authors Against OpenAI case. I guess he's not a part of it now because it all got conglomerated into one, but the fight is still going on. So we talked a little bit about that. Yeah, and I'm almost done with Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep. And I am, even before going to meet him, liking it more now, as you're kind of understanding as you go along more and more of what's happening. He even told us right off the bat, like, you is Bernie, so know that going in, that the you is the guy that is almost dead, that she is piloting around, and you're seeing through his eyes his experiences as he is being transported. I mean, it's pretty obvious from the beginning, but it doesn't come right out and tell you. So I don't think he's like, that's not a spoiler. I think it's just easier to know that going in. I feel as if it is getting better the more I read it. I think it's going to be a 4-star though, because I did have some troubles. Anyway, I'm glad I made the trip, and I'm going to go home and surprise my family with a crumble. I finished Dead Dreaming of Electric Sheep, and I really enjoyed this one. I ended up enjoying it the second half way more than I did the first half, and I think I'm going to give it a 4-star. I think I really appreciate what Paul Tremblay did here. Yeah, like I said, the second half went better for me than the first half. I did start this one, but I only read a couple of chapters because I just didn't have the time. I also started this one, but I only got like 30% of the way in. This one is fine. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with the series or not. Not really that excited by it anymore. It is now Friday, and Summerween is all over. We did it. I just wanted to do a quick little wrap up and summary of everything we read. Ooh. This is the stack of everything I read during Summerween. It's a pretty big one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books we read in the last 7 days, or I read in the last 7 days. I did finish Dead but Dreaming of Electric Sheep last night. I ended up giving this 4 stars. This one grew on me. I gave Head Full of Ghosts 4 stars. I gave House of Idol, whoops, my camera slippage. I gave House of Idol a low 4, high 3. Honeysuckle I gave 5 stars. The Need I ended up giving 4 stars. Mapping the Interior I gave 4 stars. The Black Farm probably ties for my favorite book of the readathon with Honeysuckle. Both of these were 5 stars. Fan service was a high 4, verging on a 5. Crypt of the Moon Spider, I think I ended up giving a 3.5, low 4. The Devil in Silver I gave a 4. So really, I mean, slam dunk Summerween. Nothing was below like a high 3. Nothing was DNF'd. That was pretty cool. I mean, I did DNF some things because I just didn't get a chance to finish. I only got like a chapter and a half into this because I just ran out of time. Started What Stalks the Deep, but I kept falling asleep, and so I didn't end up finishing this. I think I got 35% of the way in, but I will finish these probably in the next few weeks, as well as if you were looking forward to me reading any of the books that I didn't get to are these 4, like Jagged Teeth, Blanky, House of Hunger, or Wolfworm. I figured I would add these to a horror vlog later in the month or early August. I think that's going to be my plan. I definitely need a little bit of a break from horror for the next little bit, but I will be reading and finishing up these in the next little bit. Anyway, if you liked this video, please like, subscribe, comment down below, and thank you so much for everyone who has supported me and commented and liked and shared and all the things this week. It was a challenge for myself, and I am happy with the way it went. And yeah, just thank you very much, and I will see ya next time.